Hello, friends, and welcome to the Balanced Living Workshop. So, today we are going to be talking about how to simplify your week to get more done with less chaos. Sounds good, right? Let's get into it. Okay, first, let's talk a little bit about balance. So, if you're going to be taking your weekly schedule from overwhelming to organized, we need to understand what balancing that schedule means. So many people out there say balance doesn't exist. You can't balance things. And in a way, they're right. You can't equally distribute your time between all of the things you've got going on every day in your life. But when you learn how to distribute your time equitably to the right areas and get the right attention at the right time, then you can experience balance. It's a really personal journey. It's not a one size fits all type of system. That structure just does not work. And maybe you have tried that approach before. Maybe you found like some life hacks or somebody's tips on Pinterest to stay organized and you tried to do it and maybe it worked for a couple weeks and then you kind of gave up on it and you were like, okay, well, that didn't work. It must be me. I must be too busy. That's the mindset we're trying to get out of here. It's not you, it's that you're not customizing it to your own life. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that today. Before we get right into it, let me introduce myself. Hey, I'm Tamara. I'm a mom of a very funny and rambunctious 4-year-old. I'm also the mom of several fur babies. I'm a crazy cat lady over here. I also own and run a residential cleaning business called Clean It. That's kind of my 9-to-5 gig. And before becoming a mom, I had some routines in place, but nothing was really like super structured or set in stone because I always felt like I had agency over my time. And then fast forward to becoming a mom, and my time was no longer my own. And then starting a business was even more time pulled away from being able to do the things that I enjoyed just for me. I had no time for my friends. I had no time for myself. I felt motivated for my business, but I felt burnt out in my life. So I started looking for solutions and reading books and articles on time management and how to be a better mom and how to take care of yourself. And all of the things that I was finding about time management were like, get up earlier, set your 3 priorities, things to get done first thing in the morning, stay up a little bit later when you need to. And then like the mom stuff was like, make sure you're taking time for yourself, make sure you're getting that time for yourself. Nobody was teaching how to bridge the gap between getting the stuff done and having time for yourself. So I got super fed up in trying to find a solution, and I just decided to try things my own way. And that's when I started to pull out a planner, started to make some systems and schedules that made sense for my life. And over time, that became the Balance It method. So after I quote unquote figured it out, I my life like did a full 360. So not only was I able to get stuff done, but I also was able to do stuff like launch a podcast, which is called the Balance It Method podcast. It's on Apple and Spotify. And I also created a planner. I have a paper planner that I sell on Amazon. I also have a journal there as well that I created. I launched a digital course, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end of this video. And on top of all of that and all of the day-to-day stuff, I still had more downtime. Okay? These methods literally saved my life. I was drowning and these pulled me out of the water. So let me show you how you can get started in saving yourself too. Okay? Are you ready? Let's take a look at the day in the life of multitasking Martha. Look at that picture, that poor woman. That is literally, that's a snapshot of what my life used to look like, honestly. The screaming baby in my arms that I probably can't put down. I'm cooking like 3 different dinners because nobody eats the same thing in my house. Cats jumping all over the place, being annoying. Dings on the cell phone or the computer, and like 1,000 tabs open in my brain. Yeah, that's me. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. That was me, I should say. So let's look at Martha's day. So at 6 o'clock, she wakes up to work out, but the baby wakes up 5 minutes later because that's what they do. As soon as you decide to get up earlier, they decide to get up earlier too. Am I right? So she gets the baby breakfast. Her partner leaves for work. She pours a cup of coffee and sits down to check her Instagram. At 7 a.m., the toddler wakes up. She gets his breakfast, tries to play with him, but the baby is being a little fussy and needs more attention. So she has to pay attention to him, and then she remembers suddenly that she needs to sign her toddler up for swimming lessons. Oh boy. 7:30, she gets all the bags packed for daycare and gets herself ready while she's still sitting in that queue for swimming lesson sign up. I am so tired of those queues. Why can't I pick up the phone and just book my kid in for something? Why do I have to sit on the computer for hours trying to be the first person in line to make sure he gets it? It drives me crazy. I hate it. Anyway, moving on. 8 a.m. after feeding the cats and wrestling clothes on her toddler, they leave at 8:10 to go to drop off, which is only 10 minutes late. She's doing well. Okay, at 9 o'clock, she arrives at work. She has a few minutes to prepare for a meeting, but she just saw an email that she forgot to answer, so she does that instead. Then during the meeting, she offers to take on a few extra projects that the boss is offloading, hoping that this will make her look good for that promotion that she's going for. After work, she picks up the kids and she stops at the grocery store. She remembers to grab those diapers she forgot earlier. Once home, they sit to eat, and while they're eating, she opens her laptop to work on some of those extra projects. After dinner, the family goes on with their activities, so she cleans up the dishes, gets the laundry started, and lunch is started for tomorrow. At 7:30, it's bath time and bedtime for the kiddos, and once the kids are down, she works for a little bit longer on those projects. And at 9 p.m., she's feeling pretty good. She gets into bed, she starts watching her Netflix show, and just as she's drifting off to sleep, she remembers that she has to wash the toddler's soccer uniform for the game tomorrow, so she's got to get up and get that started. Who can relate to that? Trying to do all the things but really getting nothing done. That is multitasking. When we multitask, things fall through the cracks and we feel bad about ourselves. So let's not do that anymore. Let's learn how to do it better. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is we're going to learn about non-negotiable tasks, the tasks that are often, if not always, overlooked in your plans, okay? We're going to talk about morning and evening rituals. We'll learn about the importance of a morning and evening ritual and how to create one easily so that it's supportive and easy to do. And I'm not talking about getting up super early. We're not doing that, okay? We're not getting up before everybody else to get stuff done. I'll show you how to do it differently. Then we're going to talk about a weekly blueprint. We will take all of the moving pieces in our day and we'll put them into a stationary outline of how the week is going to flow. And then we will take all of the things that we learned and we're going to put it in a weekly plan. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a home management system that can be a little bit more supportive than what you're doing currently. Okay, so let's get into it. Lesson 1, non-negotiables. Where is your time going? This is what everyone is getting wrong when they make their to-do lists. And they try to make a plan for the day, but they forget about those tasks that are already accounted for in their schedule, and they only add in those shiny object stuff, right? So these non-negotiable tasks are happening no matter what. So why are we not putting them in our schedule? Okay, so let's look at what a non-negotiable task really is. It's a daily task. It's not a weekly task. It's not a once in a while task. It's something that happens daily. It is also a you task. It is a task that you and you alone has to do, whether that means that you're the only one that's physically capable of doing them, or whether it means that you're the only one available to do them. It's a you task, okay? They are also essential tasks, aka non-negotiable. If they don't get done, bad things will happen. Think about juggling a bunch of balls in the air. If you drop a glass ball, it shatters. That's what a non-negotiable task is. It's a glass ball. All right, let me show you my time blocks of my non-negotiable tasks, okay? My AM block sequence starts at 7 and it goes until 8 o'clock. It includes breakfast, packing lunches, dressing myself, dressing my kid, prepping myself, prepping my kids, so like hair, makeup, teeth brush, loading the car, and drop off. My PM sequence goes from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It includes picking up my kid, unpacking the lunch kit, dinner, bath, bedtime. These are my non-negotiables. It's really important when you're defining these non-negotiables to look at the time in which it takes you to complete them. Okay, so you want to start looking at your day as chunks of time. When you're identifying your non-negotiable AM block, what are the things that you need to do before you leave for work in the morning or before you're going to drop those kids off at daycare? What needs to get done before you leave the house? Then when defining your PM block, look at the things that you need to do once you get home leading up to bedtime. Okay, those are the big transition points. Leaving the home in the morning and putting the kids to bed at night. What needs to get done leading up to those transitions? And then how long does it also take you to do them? Okay, now that we've got an idea of what non-negotiables are, let's look at our morning and our evening routines. Okay, remember when I said I'd show you the difference between a morning routine that has you getting up early and getting stuff done before the kids get up? Listen, my kid did not sleep through the night until he was 2.5 years old. There was no way I was getting up any earlier than that kid woke me up in the morning. Okay, so if you're somebody that likes getting up early to get stuff done before everybody else gets up, then I love that for you. Keep doing that. If it works, I love it. But for the people who don't function well that way or are in a season where rest is best, girl, stay in bed. Just stay in bed. I'll show you how you can still have a great start to your day. A morning ritual is a short sequence of tasks that are centered around your well-being. It starts with something that you already do, and then you add 1 or 2 self-care tasks to that list. Let me show you how that works. Here's an example. So in the morning, we wake up at 6. First thing I do is get a cup of coffee. Like, that already exists in my schedule, okay? Well, regardless of what time I wake up, the first thing I'm doing is I'm getting a cup of coffee. Next, I'm going to journal for 8 minutes, and then I'm going to check my schedule for the day. So this is a really supportive morning routine because it includes, a mental health exercise of journaling, so you can get your mind in the right space for the day. And then you're checking your schedule to make sure that your priorities and the things that you've scheduled into your day don't get forgotten, and that it aligns with how you're feeling for the day. Let's look at an evening ritual. So an evening ritual really should just get you set up for a successful morning ritual. It shouldn't be really that complicated at all. So you want to set up for the morning. So get that coffee ready so that it's brewing for when you're going to get up. Then maybe move your journal over to wherever you need it to be so that it's at easy access. Then you're going to do your regular bedtime prep. So maybe that's your skincare routine or having a shower or whatever you do before you get into bed. But then the important thing is that we're going to set a bedtime for ourselves. We're going to set a limit on our screen time, okay? It's going to get turned off. We're going to put our phones away. We're going to maybe plug them in another room so that we don't get distracted by them. And we're going to go to bed to get a good night's sleep so that we can have a successful morning routine the next morning. Okay, so that is the basis of a morning and an evening routine. Let's look at our weekly blueprint. This is the outline of your schedule. We're going to take those morning and evening routines, we're going to take those non-negotiable blocks that we just learned about, and we're going to put them together in a cohesive outline so that you can see exactly the flow of your week. So a weekly blueprint is an outline of your work schedule, your non-negotiable tasks, and all stationary tasks or routines that you have in your week. Let's look at this chart. So this is just a regular time chart that we're mapping this out on. You're going to block off your work hours. So most of us that work outside or inside the home have set hours that we have to do our work, set times that we have to be there, and when we're done. We're going to block those off to what they typically are. I know things shift around, but we're looking at like a typical work week. Then you're going to add in those AM and PM non-negotiable blocks. Okay, the blocks that we defined in the first lesson. That's why it was important to identify how long each of those blocks of time, each of those tasks was going to take so that we know exactly how much time we need for those blocks of time. And then you're going to bookend your days with your morning and your evening ritual. Okay, really straightforward. So any other routines that have a stationary time frame in your week can go here too. Most routines, though, are pretty flexible and they shouldn't really be included in your weekly blueprint. Like, for example, a workout routine, unless you have to do it at a certain time, then it shouldn't be on your blueprint. And also things like fluctuating schedules, like for extracurriculars and sporting events, unless you are responsible for overseeing or carrying out the routine at the exact same time every day or week, it doesn't belong in your blueprint. Now, if your kids have hockey practice every Wednesday night at 5 p.m., then that can be reflected on your weekly blueprint, and you're the one that has to take them there for that practice, then that can be reflected on your blueprint. Okay, let's have a look at a few other blueprints examples here. So this is a work schedule that's not the same every day, but you would just adjust your other blocks around what your work schedule would be. Let's look at a blueprint of somebody that doesn't have a work schedule, maybe a stay-at-home mom. Okay, if you're a stay-at-home mom, then instead of work hours, you'll be blocking off productivity hours. This is when you're going to be running errands or doing homeschooling, that sort of thing. So maybe you're also, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you might also be responsible for like a midday non-negotiable that covers like lunch and nap time. Then you're going to block that off in your schedule as well. So this is what a weekly blueprint is, guys. This is how simple it can be to have more flow to the week. Now, this is what mine looks like. Okay, so you can see I have my work blocks, I have my non-negotiable AM and PMs, and I have my evening and morning ritual. Now, there are a couple other things on here, and these green areas are what I call my core needs systems. Now, we're not going to talk too much about that today because that is what I talk a lot about inside the digital course I'm going to tell you a little bit about at the end of this video. But that is where those routines are reflected on my weekly blueprint. Okay, let's move into the final lesson for today, and this is our weekly planning session. We're taking everything we just learned and we're building out a doable schedule for the week ahead in 10 minutes. Okay, you're going to need for your weekly planning session a planner. You're going to need your weekly blueprint, and you're going to need your calendar wherever you keep appointments. Okay, so that may be in your phone, that could be an actual physical calendar, wherever you write down if you have a doctor's appointment or a birthday coming up, that's the calendar you need to pull out. Okay, so first things first, you're going to block off those work hours. They're set in stone. You got to go to work. That's the time you got to go to work. Put them in your planner for the week. Now, if you're somebody that works from home, or you just like to keep things a little more straight in your brain, you don't have to just block it off with color blocks like this. You could write in exactly what you need to do during that work block. That really helps you sometimes to stay on top of the things that are your work to-do list without having to write that on a bunch of Post-its and stick them around the office. Next, you're going to put in any of the fixed appointments and events or pre-scheduled activities you have for the week ahead. So as you can see in this example, this person has a doctor's appointment at a really inconvenient time. Who booked that doctor's appointment first thing in the morning before work? That's a terrible time. Anyway, that's when it is, and we are going to just show up a little bit late for work that day and put that into our planner. Next, you're going to add in your non-negotiable blocks. Now you can see where the doctor's appointment has been put in, the non-negotiable block has had to shift slightly. So they're going to be needing to get up and out of the house a little bit earlier in order to get to that really inconvenient doctor's appointment first thing in the morning. Honestly, who booked that? Next, they're going to bookend their days with their morning and evening rituals. Now, if the work schedule on the day that the doctor's appointment happened had to be a little bit longer because of that doctor's appointment, you know, that happens, you're supposed to put in a certain number of hours, then that evening non-negotiable block and the evening ritual would have to adjust for that as well. So now this is how you can identify how much blank space you have in your week so that you don't overbook yourself. And so if something comes in that's requesting your time, you can say like, let me look at my schedule. Oh, look, it's all blocked off with stuff I've already committed my time to. I don't have time for that other thing. Or you can look at the blocks where you can move them around to fit in that other thing if it is really important to you. And that is how we make a schedule that is flexible and structured to keep us organized. Now I'm going to show you an example that reflects the 4 keys to balance, which is one of my Corning systems that I put into all of my planners and that I teach in extent in the home management system course that I'm going to tell you about in a second. But they're short daily habits that support certain areas of your life that might be difficult for you to have the time to get to, and they just get dropped into the time blocks where they will fit into your day. So if you want to learn more about them, you can listen in. I've done a lot of podcast episodes all about them. So if you want to check out the podcast on Spotify or Apple, you'll learn all about the 4 keys in there. But basically, these are coordinate systems that are just dropped into the time blocks that you've already allocated from your weekly blueprint that we created. And the coordinate systems are the backbone of how you can start to feel really supported and really organized in your week. And so that is why I talk about it so much. And I created an entire system of how to build those into your life, which I call the Balance It Method Home Management Systems course. Okay, this course was designed specifically for working moms who are sick of spreading themselves so thin across the board and always falling behind, and want to be more organized and in control of their home and their lives. Okay, just because it's called home management doesn't mean it doesn't include every area of life. Okay, when you have those home management systems in place, the rest of your life is managed as well. So let's look inside the curriculum of this program. So in the first module, we talk about how to properly define your priorities and the areas of your day that feel most difficult. This is where you'll start to identify where you need a coordinated system to help balance things out. Next, we'll be building out those morning and evening rituals with all the details to map out inside of your weekly blueprint. Then we'll be talking about those coordinate systems. We're going to talk about what they are, how you can identify them, how to map out routines to support them, and then I'll give you an introduction of the 4 keys to balance. Then we're going to actually zoom in on one of those keys, which is the Clean for 15, and I'm going to teach you how to create a zone cleaning system so you can stay on top of housework, because I know that that is a real struggle point for a lot of people. Next, we're going to learn how to create a manageable to-do list to get all the stuff done that doesn't go into your schedule, okay? And then in the last module, we'll put it all together in that weekly planning. So not only do you have all of these modules in video and audio and a workbook to go through each section, but along with all of that, there are a couple bonuses. So you get my Ditch the Overwhelm guide to help you manage those extra busy weeks when there just seems to be a lot of stuff coming at you. And you'll also get my Balance It digital planner, which will help you give you a space to map out all of those things. So all of those modules, all of the bonuses and the workbook all come together in a nice little package, and you will have lifetime access. So anytime extra bonuses are added to the program or new modules are added or updates are made, you will get all of those with absolutely no additional cost. You just get them. It just comes along with the package. And speaking of cost, I wanted to offer you a little discount for joining this workshop today. And so just for being here today, I'm knocking $20 off the cost of enrollment. So there's absolutely no expiration date to this deal. Whenever you're watching this, you can enter the code workshop at checkout and you'll get that discount, because I want you to have the time to decide if this is going to be right for you. So let's see what a few people inside the program are saying. Emily says, weekly planning has transformed my ability to show up intentionally for the things that matter. Donna says, I work full-time and have a side hustle. Thanks to weekly planning and the Balance It method, I now have time for both, and I'm still able to spend quality time with my son. Chantel says, using the Balance It method to plan my week has improved my mental health. I'm able to spend time with my kids and spend less time worrying about when things are going to get done. Oh, Chantel, literally the reason I do this. Okay. So if you have any questions about this program or anything that we talked about today, you can always email me, but I wanted to address a few of the common questions that I get. So, what if I don't have time to keep up with this program? You have lifetime access. There is no falling behind. You can't fall behind on this program. From day one, you will have access to everything and you can work away at it at your own pace. So, like I said, they're video and audio modules. So you can listen while you're making dinner or pop your AirPods in while you're grocery shopping and listen while you're doing other things. Also, in the module where we learn how to create a priority funnel, by the time you finish that, you'll be like, oh, this is how I can fit this in, because that is really a big game changer. Okay, what if I have a question? Well, then you can ask me. You can send me an email if you get stuck with something, and I can either answer with an email response, or we can book a call to really take a deep dive into what's going on. I've tried planning before and nothing lasted long term. What's different? Well, it's not a copy and paste solution. That's what's different. It's not a life hack. It's not a SMART goal. It's nothing like that. These are strategies and frameworks that I have created for my own life that I have that I am now teaching other people, that helps you walk you step by step so you can have a fully customizable system with repeatable frameworks, so that if things start to fall off balance, you'll know exactly how to get back on track. I know it works because it worked for me. And I'm seeing it work for other moms too, which is so amazing. Okay. So now I have a question for you. How do you want to show up for the important people and areas of your life? Okay. Do you want them to get the crumbs that's left over from your long and busy day? You know, that grumpy self that's maybe short with your kids because they're tired and they've worked so hard all day that they just want their kids to go to bed. Do you want them to have that person? Or do you want to show up as the best version of yourself for everything and everyone? Okay, I think I'm pretty sure I know the answer to that question. And if you're somebody that needs help to get there, to do that, then the HMS course could be a solution for you. Thank you, everyone, for showing up for this workshop today. I hope that it was helpful. And remember to use that code workshop at checkout to get that discount. And I hope to see you inside the HMS course. If you have any further questions, send me an email and I'll do my best to get back to you ASAP.